क्या आप इतिहास का मतलब जानते हैं?
इतिहास is not equal to history.
हिस्ट्री वो जादूगर है जिसके जादू से इतिहास ऐसे ही खो गया जैसे कि हम तो खोए हुए लोग थे जब किसी ने हमें बाहर से आकर ढूंढा। और जो चीज कभी हुई नहीं उन कहानियों का हम पे थोप देना, ये भी हिस्ट्री के ही जादू का कमाल है।
We are not here to confirm any biases.
नहीं मुझको कंप्लीट करने दीजिए।
How does history matter? आज की बात करो, फ्यूचर की बात करो, जो बीत गया वो बीत गया।
Thank God that apple fell on Newton's head.
That good marks come from?
Studying.
हम ब्राह्मण लोग क्या भारत के बाहर से आए थे?
क्या बात कर रहे हो?
किताब में लिखा है।
अरे बेटा फिर वही सही है।
Name the rulers of Mughal dynasty. Women and Shudras were not allowed to study the Vedas.
सती प्रथा खत्म।
मिनिस्टर ने मीडिया में एक स्टेटमेंट दिया है।
क्या स्टेटमेंट?
ये कि पास में वहाँ कोई स्ट्रक्चर था ही नहीं।
ऐसा लग रहा है कुछ तो गलत है बुक में।
फिजिक्स में?
नहीं, हिस्ट्री के बुक में। कुछ भी नहीं। ये भारत में कास्ट सिस्टम ब्रिटिशों ने बनाई। स्कूल में बच्चों को ये गलत और डिस्टॉर्टेड हिस्ट्री क्यों पढ़ाई जा रही है? इज देयर एनी बिगर गेम?
कुछ बाहर निकालने के लिए अंदर जाना पड़ता है।
किसी ने आरटीआई फाइल किया है हिस्ट्री बुक्स के बारे में। 21 रिकॉर्ड और एविडेंस पर चीजें लिखेगी हिस्ट्री बुक्स में।
They defeated Mughals 17 times. Give me a pencil.
सिर्फ आपका मन मैटर करता है क्या?
मेरा मन से। सर मेरे सवालों का जवाब दीजिए।
हो गया सर। सुनिए मुझसे। सर हो गया, चलिए
उनसे बात करना है।
Let the historians do their job.
सब कुछ बिगड़ता जा रहा है।
We will create an educational system in India so that future Indians will be Indians only in color, but will be English in taste, intellect, habit, and language.
Very nice. Which class?
हिस्ट्री के महफिल में फिजिक्स का टीचर क्या कर रहा है?
हिस्ट्री हमारी भी तो है।
Welcome to Bharat TV. I'm your host, Deepika Zucchi. There's a famous quote that says, "Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it." But being doomed to repeat it is not the only consequence of failing to learn our history. There are many other consequences which our guest today will talk about, and also why we should all learn about our history, our roots, and not take for granted what we learned in school. Our guest is the writer, director, and producer of an amazing new film, his Story of Itihaas, Manpreet Singh Dhami. Manpreet ji, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you जी।
Before we get into the details of how you went about creating this amazing movie, please tell us a little bit about the summary, the plot of the movie, and what the story is and what we should look forward to.
No, this movie, Story of Itihaas, is basically a story of a physics teacher who is just like a normal person, going on with his life, with his friends and family. And something happens in his family, something his daughter does, and which pushes him to actually go deep inside the history, deep inside the history writing which has been done in the schools, and he realized many fallacies and distortion and lies. And there's a story of a physics teacher who basically got into the history, and then he challenged the education system with his RTIs, and how he used to get RTA as no records and no evidence as an answer for the questions that what are the records and evidences on the basis of which these things are written in the history books of school children. So yeah, this is the story of this physics teacher who fights against the system to get to the right history, and there are other subplots also, but I think this is the main gist.
That's the main storyline. What an amazing and a fascinating story. And I'm looking forward to watching the movie myself. I've seen the trailer, and it obviously tells you a little bit about it. And if our audience, if you guys haven't seen the trailer, watch the trailer and then go watch the movie. It is going to be an amazing experience. It's such a different topic. How did you get motivated to make this film? It's not your, run-of-the-mill commercial type Bollywood movie. Tell us a little bit about your motivation and why did you pick such a potentially complicated and controversial topic?
No, it was very, I did not know about BHARAT Itihaas 4 or 5 years back, and someone just told me that, your history books has a lot of fallacies and it's wrong in many ways. So I laughed at the person. I'm like, kya baat kar rahe ho? But because you have been living in certain kind of thinking and assumptions for so many years, for decades, and suddenly if someone comes and tells you that they are wrong, you will not be able to believe that. And the first reaction is of unbelief, and you laugh at the person. But I also have this
in the movie that says अगर किताब में लिखा है तो ठीक ही होगा.
हाँ, वही वाली जो किताब में लिखा है ठीक होगा, तो फिर हमने भी यही सोच के सब कुछ पढ़ा और सब धारणाएं बना ली. तो then I started learning, started reading, and in the whole process I got in touch with Neeraj Atri's book called Brainwashed Republic, and then Eminent Historians written by Arun Shourie, and then there were other books also. And I realized that the kind of rot it has, and most of the things which I was being told, which I laughed at, were actually true. So then I got really angry. I'm like, why I was being lied to, why I was being bullshitted all these years, and not just me, the people, society, So this anger became the motivation to make the movie. So I'm glad. If I have some anger issues, then it's good I have made the movie because of that anger.
You've channeled it very constructively, obviously. What do you, obviously it's, coming from a place of very strong intent and very good intent. I believe anytime, मेरे ख्याल से anytime कोई पुरानी धारणा होती है जिसको you have to turn it on its head, it's a very long and complicated process, but also a process of strength. What do you hope to accomplish at the end of by the end of a movie? A lot of times people will watch it, and then walk away. What is the long-term effect and impact you are hoping that it'll achieve?
So I generally tend to visit some of the theaters every weekend. You have given a closure in the end, I said I don't want to give a closure. I want to do, and that's what I want. These people are thinking, because generally in the commercial movie mindset, you go for a movie, you enjoy it, you get some kind of closure, and you're like, ho gaya, haan, theek hai, mera time ho gaya, ab chalo kuch aur karte hain. And I don't want to. I never wanted it. I wanted you to think. So, and that's where every person is saying, like, this is forcing me to think, and even if it's uncomfortable truths, I'm forcing them to think. So I think I have achieved that to whatever small extent, and this is what I want, because you see, it is not that like right now I get the message and right now I'm going to start doing something for it. It's not like that. I don't even expect it. But in the back of your mind, somewhere those things will remain, and it will affect your way of changing your way of thinking, and it then does your actions. So yeah, so this is the movie. It's not like people will forget, not because it's a good or a bad movie. I'm not talking from that point of view. I'm talking purely point of view from that, what is the intent and how I have ended the movie. So that thinking
Right.
should remain. Yeah.
Right. And I have to tell you, those are my favorite types of movies too, which go with me when I walk out of the theater and make me think and make me question my actions and my thoughts and my beliefs. And this seems like one of those movies that'll, question everything that you think you know.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
actually many things.
Yeah. Talking about some beliefs, can you tell us one or two beliefs that we learned in history books that you are trying to oppose and change for us through the movie?
Very basic fact: Vasco da Gama discovered India. I mean, I keep saying that in every podcast. Like, wow, where the hell were we lost? So I mean, Vasco da Gama, हमने हमें ढूंढ लिया तो मतलब, these are kind of psychological impact which it would have on a children who reads it. He's like, okay, we are here. Someone came from outside and saved us. His whole life, he will be looking for a validation from the Westerners, and that is what is happening right now. So yeah, and there are many others our swastika symbol being told, I mean, the Hitler symbol is actually Hakenkreuz, but it is being told as swastika even in our school books, and that is pure evil when you know that is not true. So there are many things, and Mughal over glorification, obviously, that is something which we have been keep talking about, but and the absence of history of other kings, like I'm Punjabi, and hardly any mention of Sikh history, Cholas, and I never knew about. It's very embarrassing. I never knew about a home dynasty which basically defeated like Mughals so many times, in the northeast. And see, this is where if you see everything in the present is connected to the histories. If, for example, now there was a good time in India, not there was a good time in India when good amount of time when people used to look down upon northeast people. They used to. So now, and if they would have known about Lachit and Barfukan and Home Dynasty, they would have respected them. Now because obviously now integrated, now people know about it. So you see, the moment you know about their history, you start respecting that. You start integrating. So history is very much connected to your present and your future.
True. What a beautiful example you gave us. I'm really intrigued in seeing how this is going to end up in the movie, and how a movie watcher walks out of the film having a completely changed mindset. How intriguing. Tell me a little bit about the cast. So I've heard that you had a hard time putting your cast together, but you have some brilliant actors in the movie now. We have, the king of Marathi film industry with you. Tell us a little bit of the process of how that happened.
No, so when I went to Bollywood actors, like 50, 60 actors, they showed no interest or said no, or said, like, you are doing propaganda, or whatever the shit they wanted to say. And, there were people who liked the script, but there was one person who really liked the script, and he couldn't do it because he's like, I loved it, but it's the fact that my house is in Bengal. So I cannot really. So people are scared of the consequences, and I understand that. And see, most of the people see, there is a system in Bollywood where such kind of things do not come as a script in front of them very often. So now I've understood. That time I was like, what the hell is going on? But now I understand. But I'm really grateful and thankful to those people who said no, because I've got a very good actors now, and it's amazing. So I wish I knew about Subodh Bhave sir initially. I didn't know about him. But it's okay. It's a journey, and I got to know many facets of the Bollywood industry and everything. So it's a great, it's a great learning for me actually. So when these actors said no, and I went to people to whatever little limited kind of options I had, and they came on board, and I've was very, very lucky to have really good and very supporting actors. They're very supporting. They were like, during shoot, they were very supporting. Because we shot the movie in just 20 days, so we had really less budget. So they actually kind of stood by me, and that's because it's not just about acting skills. It's also about how you work as a team, how you see each other as humans, how you basically not just think about the movie but think beyond the movie, and that is something which I was lucky to have people around me like that.
Yeah, and a good cast and a good crew, they teach each other. There are craft things and technique things that you learn from each other, and what a great way to put a great team together. Awesome. You just now mentioned that somebody said, oh, yeah, I don't want to do this film because it might look like a propaganda film. What would you say to critics who might say, this is just another propaganda film? What would your response be to that?
No, so what happens is this, just like what I laughed at the person who told me that your history books are compromised. I kind of sympathize with them. They have no idea. They are brainwashed. So instead of anger, I would have sympathy towards them. And if not complete sympathy, at least an element of sympathy. Now, I also have this element of what to say, this, I shouldn't say, I don't know if it's kind of mockery. I want to mock them. You don't know your shit. And then you're calling other things shit. Okay. So that's the problem you have. And, generally the left ecosystem works in this way. They only play with these three keywords. One is propaganda, one is WhatsApp University, a third is Godi media, and that's it. They're the keywords they work with. And they don't know that even people like me who are not that smart have become smart to realize that. So, let them say it. I have my sources, I have my everything. Let them question me on that. I'm always welcome. I have always welcomed. Ask me questions. If I don't have the sources, you have the right to criticize me. But if I'm giving the sources, then I don't know. Then probably you are living in your own propaganda world, not willing to change. You are a weak person. You are not willing to break your myths, which a person like me and many others have tried to break. We are still trying to break it. So I just also see them as sympathetic and weak person. So with sympathy, and I see them as people.
Yeah. My mom would say, you keep doing what you need to do. Dogs in the street will always bark. So, and I'm not equating it to this situation, but I'm saying my mom would say, stray dogs will always bark. You keep walking and do your thing in life. So that's, good learning for everybody. I want to ask you this, Manpreet. I can understand, or somebody like a layperson, let's just say an average person, can understand that when the Britishers ruled us, they had a certain slant and a certain bias that they wanted to perpetuate within our society. We've been independent for quite a few years now. So why are those biases still existing in our textbook? How is it that, you are someone, 75, 80 years down the line who's saying, oh my God, look at this, our history books are wrong. Why hasn't this come up before? And what is in it for Indian educators to keep perpetuating that bias?
See, it's like if a father teaches if a grandfather teaches a father, and the father teaches son the same thing, and they don't know that they are whatever they are saying and teaching to each other basically are just lies and bullshit. So what happens is this, that our education system was made to just follow the British education system and the British way of thinking. So what has happened is this, that even bureaucrats have been trained into thinking like that. So, even if the political powers change, the hands of the political powers are different. The system is run somewhere by the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy comes by the IAS officers and other officers, and when they give exams, they are advised to read newspaper like the Hindu, Frontline. What do you expect them to have? What do you expect them to think? Obviously, they would think in a very, very different way. They would be completely seeing from the hardcore leftist point of view, and that's why the system has been there for the last 70 years like that. So, and I know some people say it's hard to expect that change in 5, 10 years or 11 years, whatever. I get that to some extent, but at the same time, I think the priority of education is something probably on the lesser scale as compared to the other things in the present dispensation. They have shown certain things. They have actually taken actions in certain regards, and is changing. But for the change to come in the society, it will take 15 years, because we need that this Indian knowledge system based education system for some years, and then you will see people better than us, better than me, filmmakers better than us, people better than me and us, and will make great movies in the future. And this is where I'm hopeful. But at the same time, it's hope. It might be completely based on wrong assumptions, So I don't want to be that. So for that, we all have to fight, and I am just one of the fighters.
Yeah, that's, and boon boon se sagar banta hai. So, you've dropped your little, stake in the whole ocean, and hopefully the conversations continue, and then a wave forms. Very, very interesting. And now, one other thing that I was noticing as I was watching the trailer was that the story is following a physics teacher, a person of science, and a dialogue bhi hai movie mein ki, "Arey, physics ka teacher, kya karne chala hai? History ke mehfil mein kyun baitha hai?" And, the physics teacher's response is very good. So could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Because see, in the trailer also, I've shown a kind of an arc of a character who says in the starting, history se kya fark padta hai bhai, aaj ki baat karo, future ki baat karo. And then certain events happen, and at the end, in the trailer, he's being asked by someone ki history ki, because he's attending a history event, some kind of summit, and he's being asked ki tum ek history ki film mein physics ka teacher kya kar raha hai. So he's like, history hamari bhi to hai. You are a historian, you are writing, but ultimately the Itihaas, we own that Itihaas. It is not just your right. It is my right to ask questions. It is my right to learn. It is my right to be proud of it. It is my right to learn about my the wrongs of my past. Everything. So it is not your right to write any bullshit and expect that people like us with scientific temperament cannot question you.
Right. So I thought that was a very beautiful coming together of, history as well as science, and forcing people to think ki history is not just history teachers ka or historians ka forte. It belongs to all of us, and all of us need to do something about it.
I don't want to sound very arrogant. I'm sorry if I'm going to sound like that.
Please.
I am from an engineering background. I'm from a science background. Any normal, good engineer can really call out this. Historians are not that smart. Okay. They're not that smart. They're not that. I'm just telling you that. And it's not out of arrogance. 4 or 5 years back, I thought historians know history. Who the hell are we? I mean, we shouldn't.
They're the keepers,
Yeah. But once you come from that scientific temperament and you start to getting to know things, and then you start questioning it, any normal engineer can screw them with their logic.
Yeah, true. But now that we're talking about people of science, a 25-year-old, say a computer programmer who's working in Bengaluru, or a Silicon Valley engineer, 25, 30 years old, tell our audience a little bit about why you think they should care about the history and what their books had taught them in school. I've got nothing to do with history. I'm working, I have a little job, I am in my own little bubble. Why should I care about what I learned back in school, which may or may not have been wrong or right. Who cares? Tell us why they should care. Tell us why everybody should care.
क्योंकि हिस्ट्री हमारी भी तो है. पहली बात तो ये है, ठीक है. और दूसरी बात, just to give you an example, even if you go to a doctor, he would ask about your medical history, and that is how he's going to suggest you what lifestyle and what kind of medicine you can. And his so many, they're proverbs, they're very sayings which are, or if not popular, I can just repeat it, that one that ones who don't know even from history are to repeat it, and others कि जो लोग अपना इतिहास भूल जाते हैं उनकी जो, और so there is a other saying which is actually kind of a dark, कि किसी का भविष्य मिटाना हो तो उसका इतिहास मिटा दो. तो people do not realize that how much history is important. अभी आप खुद सोचो, आप किसी के साथ अगर आप जॉब लेने भी जाते हो, जॉब देते हो किसी को, तो उसका बैकग्राउंड पता करते हो, भाई तुम्हारा एक्सपीरियंस क्या पीछे का, बताओ मुझे, तब मैं तुम्हारे को हायर करूंगा. ठीक है,
बिल्कुल.
अब मैं किसी को देख के ऐसे तो ले नहीं लूंगा. Even if we suppose our parents go for some kind of arranged marriage with some girl, they find out the background of the family. So the background, the history, it decides whether your decisions in the present and the future will be actually good or not. So yes, a person who's sitting as a computer engineer, whatever, there are many aspects of life which he would realize that if he gets that, it will definitely add a great element of confidence and great element of clarity in his life. For example, 13 to 12, 11 years back when I went to Europe for the first time, I felt quite inferior. I had no idea about my history. But now 5 years back, when I got to know about my history, I don't think so. I am any person would be more confident than me in the room, if I'm say so. So this is what history does to you. I'm just telling you that. This is what it does to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the pride that comes from having that foundational knowledge of where you come from and the years of backing of your culture and history and traditions, that's just absolutely precious. US में, Western countries में, media में बहुत anti-Hindu sentiment, anti-Indian sentiments भी बहुत फैले हुए हैं. It makes me so angry and it makes me want to do something about it because वो गलत ideas फैलते हैं via sections of media. So you feel like you said, if you know your history, if you know your points and background, what a beautiful ability to be able to refute and have an argument and a discussion with somebody and to change their point of view.
Absolutely. Georgia country, actually Georgia country. I think a couple of years back, and there was, I'll just give an example. There was this British guy I met, and he was really sweet guy, really nice guy. Okay, but he was just in some conversations like the caste system and the sati in India is this. I'm like, bro, this is all bullshit given by you guys, and caste system was created by you guys. Also, stop this bullshitting. And he was surprised by it because he's also brainwashed into thinking something else. It's not his mistake also, right? So what happens is this, then he realizes, and I'm sure when I told him, after that he will think 10 times before speaking anything about India. Because I told him this is a fact, this is the source, this is like you not go ahead with this. And so you see what does it to you. Now this is where the advantage which a Gora would have on an Indian, it will break away. It will be actually a level playing because we come with a certain kind of mindset which has been basically ingrained to our education system through media, through films, and everything. And once we break through that, trust me, the kind of confidence you can get, the kind of because intelligence also comes with confidence. Okay. So if you don't have confidence, your intelligence is of no use. Your intelligence will eventually die down. So,
good point.
Yeah. So that's how it is. So it's all interconnected. So this is how it is.
Yeah, that's really good, especially for our target audience that lives outside India, to learn this and to imbibe this and to research and study and watch films like these, so that you can learn what a great culture you come from, and then are able to portray yourself accordingly. Thank you, Manpreet. I do want to ask you a question about, every time I see somebody who's a writer, director, producer, to me, those are different hats to wear. How do you combine wearing all of those hats? And did the writer in you ever fight with the producer in you? Or did the producer in you ever fight with the director in you and said, "Paisa kharch kam karo," or, things like anything? Did you have any kind of a conflict between either of those roles?
Yeah, I have developed split personalities now. It's always the fight is always there, definitely. But at the same time, the vision is very much aligned. राइटर डायरेक्टर प्रोड्यूसर होने का फायदा ये है कि सारी डिसीजन मेकिंग हमारे हाथ में है. कोई भी ऊपर से आके ये नहीं बोलेगा कि यहाँ पे आइटम नंबर डाल दो, यहाँ पे ये कर दो, यहाँ पे उसकी बेटी को डाल दो, उसके बेटे को डाल दो. ये सब बकवास नहीं चाहिए, बिकॉज आत्मा जो फिल्म की है वो मरनी नहीं चाहिए. सो दैट्स द रीजन. It's an advantage. Yes, it can come across as disadvantage. I understand that, because I have to work a lot. I have to work single-handedly. But I think coming from that Punjabi Sikh background, I've been used to. I've seen my father doing it, so I think at least I have those things which my father did not have. So I can easily do it. Even if it was not easy, I kept lying to myself that I can easily do it. I can easily do it. So, but it worked. It was not exactly a lie. I realized I could make it work, because ultimately, if there is a will, there is a way, and I had a will, and I made sure that I'm still, like, even now we are not getting screens in India. Like it's in the 5th week, and we're still fighting back. So it's okay. And the producer, writer, director, I think it can be, if it can be aligned in a certain way, it's a very strong power to have. That's what I think. I may be living in my own cuckoo world. I don't know, but this is what I think for right now.
Yeah, no, I think there are definitely pros and cons to the situation either way.
You are more relaxed when director, writer, and producer is different. But again, I think this is where most of the movies are bad, or they are not that good in India, because writer is thinking something else, director is something else, producer is thinking something else, and and there's a dissonance, and that's why movies, even with the good stories, they get screwed up. So and this is where I knew this thing, and that's the reason this is a vision which I had, and I did not want the vision to be compromised. So for that, I had to not just wear the hats of these three things. I had to wear the jackets and the shirts of other things also, being a driver of my crew, being finding locations myself, and many things which I did. I've been also execute, also finding locations, talking to people, a lot of things. So hats, clothes, shoes, whatever you want, whatever you just can say, I just wore all of them just to make sure that
the one good thing that
whatever product comes out, it's
the one good thing that comes out of that, in my opinion, is that the focus then always remains laser sharp. You know your vision, and you are from all aspects working towards that one vision and to achieve that. So in that sense, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's how it helped.
Was there a point while you were either writing or shooting the film when you had a huge sudden spurt of doubt in your mind, and you said, "Oh my God, ye main kya kar raha hu? This is going to be such a disaster, it's going to be such an uphill battle," because breaking people's centuries-old thoughts is probably the hardest thing in the world. Was there a time when you thought that and you were like, "Oh my God, what am I getting into?"
Never. After a point of time, never. Once before, yes, doubt, saying, okay, is this true? Is this right? Is it wrong? That thing is there. Once I decided I have to do it, and I am like, nahi, fir I am like, jo hoga dekha jayega. Fir to karna hai bas.
That's your Sikh Punjabi background showing up.
I mean, वो थोड़ा वो है. I mean, I have that advantage of having that background. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, and I know you're busy, and I know you have to catch a flight. I'm going to ask you one or maybe a couple more questions that are circulating in my mind. What is your message to the millions of people, the Indian diaspora that lives outside India, and might be feeling cut off from their history, cut off from their itihas? How can they stay connected with their roots and with their history, and how can they keep their itihas alive?
See, roots is history only. वहीं से तो पौधा उगता है. Roots history ही है. जुड़ने के लिए history के through आपको roots के through जाना पड़ेगा, and that's history. And trust me, like more than that, like what happens is this, that like it's something which it will really shape your mind in a certain way. It will you live in America or Europe or whatever, but it is scientifically proved that people who are not connected to their roots are actually weak people. Okay.
Yeah.
The people connected to the roots are strong people. So once you're connected to your roots, if you are seeing certain kind of confidence in me, trust me, it all comes from that history element. Okay, so you should learn about your history, not because it's a movie. So my movie, I've tried to make it as engaging and entertaining as possible. So that because it's a very critical, very academic subject. So that's the reason I was inclined कि जो कोई नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं करूँगा, ठीक है. But same kind of expectation I would have some from people also, that you should forget about my film, actually keep my film aside. Please make sure that you get to know about your roots. After that you do whatever you want, because roots का फल जैसे होगा आपको उगाने पर roots को एक बार जान लो आप, क्योंकि आपको roots के बिना आपका पौधा खड़ा नहीं हो सकता, सीधी सी बात है. तो वो आपको करना चाहिए. और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि जब आप रूट से जुड़े रहेंगे, एक लाइफ में आपका हमेशा एक पर्पस रहेगा. वो पर्पस देखिए, जो रूट से जुड़ा होता है वही ऊपर ग्रो करता है, सीधी सी बात है, ठीक है. सो दैट्स द थिंग. सो ये मुझे लगता है इससे ये बहुत बड़ी चीज है. सिंपल से हमारे सामने बहुत हिस्ट्री की बात की से जुड़ी हुई है. आप जानिए उसको. Even if you are like not concerned about history, which I am not, I was not 4 years back, doesn't matter. You will start learning here and there, and and it will be you will see a change in your personality and thinking, and you will become a far better version of yourself. That I can assure you.
Yeah, that is very good life advice, I would think. It's very interesting that you're saying ki movie ko set it aside, but do this much at least.
Yeah.
What beautiful thoughts. It's such a wonderful, it's such an honor to be talking to you, Manpreet. इस conversation में मैंने भी इतना कुछ सीखा, and I'm sure हमारे audience ने भी बहुत कुछ सीखा होगा, and I hope everybody is spurred enough to go watch the movie at least, and then think, like you said, at least सोचो, discussion करो, बात करो एक दूसरे के साथ. एक बात हम करें कि नहीं करें? Should we go back to our history teachers in schools and colleges and question them?
One last question, and then I'll have to leave. So you just decide which question you want to ask, because I have to catch up.
Yes. So my question is, discussions and all, yes, but should we be going back and questioning our history teachers in school and college?
So so there are two kind of history teachers I met. One history teacher I met who's like, oh, wow, they saw the movie, like, oh, we didn't know this. We are teaching all this bullshit to our students even today, and that's the thing. That's one kind of version I made. And then there's a other version which is very small in number, which says we already knew, but we had to somehow teach this to our kids. But we used to tell our kids separately that this is just for the marks, and just write it for the marks, but this is not the real history, So these are the two kind of history teachers I met, but the former one was much more in number. कि हमें तो ऐसा पता ही नहीं था, हम तो आज तक पता नहीं ये चीजें. So this is where I want to break that bubble of the history teachers, because teachers शिष्य अच्छा तभी बनेगा जब शिक्षक आपका अच्छा होगा और जानकार होगा. वही नहीं जानकार है तो भाई शिष्य कैसे बनेंगे? तो इसीलिए जरूरी है कि वो वहां तक बात पहुंचे. वहां तक मैंने बात पहुंचाने की कोशिश की है. Now I'm planning to basically go to like educational institutions and showing the movie over there, and all those things are happening. On they are in my hands. So yeah, I mean, history teachers matter a lot because they are the ones, because I have said it somewhere else. So no other subject will shape your mind as history does. Just think about it, because they are stories. Yeah.
That's a
Like
different thought itself.
Mathematics, biology, English, whatever, it will to some extent, but what history will shape you, because it will shape your assumptions, and from assumptions you make your own inferences. So that's the reason it is very important.
Yep, and change your whole as a person, like you explained before. Oh my God, thank you so much for your time today, Manpreet. We really appreciate it. And for our audience, I would say go watch this film wherever you can, as soon as you can, because this is a topic, like you heard today, it's very critical and has great relevance to our present and the impact to our future generations as well. Thank you so much for joining us today on Bharat TV, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you, Manpreet ji.
Thank you.